It's the final week of the NFL 2022 season sim regular season. Today, it's a matchup between two teams that cannot make the playoffs. It's the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. Two teams who had high expectations coming into the season. Denver brought in Russell Wilson. The Raiders brought in Devontae Adams. Of course, it's not been the way that both these two teams would have wanted. The Raiders at 5-11-1. The Broncos at 3-12. It's been very poor for both these teams. They'll get high picks in the draft, but today they want to win. It's Derek Carr and the Raiders, and possibly his final matchup as a Raiders quarterback taking on Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Getting ready to kick off here from Allegiant Stadium. You're watching the NFL and ASC. And McManus will kick us away, and then we'll go back into the end zone. So Derek Carr, off year in Las Vegas. Of course, that was Jarrett Stidham who lost to the Lions last week because Carr was out with illness. But there's talks of him being traded or even released in the offseason. And this could be the final game we see Derek Carr start as a Raiders quarterback. But for now, he wants to go out and win this game. So here is Carlson from 49 to give the Raiders an early lead. And he will. He drills it. 3-0, a good opening drive, but the Broncos are able to sack Derek Carr on third down. They force the field goal from Carlson. It's 3-0 Las Vegas. And here we go. This one will go about a yard or two deep into the end zone. Spencer to run this out. He'll take it across the 25 and out lunging towards the 30. The Broncos traded so much for Russell Wilson. They have 3 wins on the season. Look at a top 5 pick. Well, if they still had that pick, they traded it to Seattle. So we'll see what Russell Wilson can do. And the Broncos will have to suffer without a first-round pick in the next draft. 4th and goal from the 3. Now, in the Chiefs game, McManus ran it in for a touchdown, but they're going to settle for 3 in this one. We are knotted up at 3. So the Raiders are able to hold Denver. And now the Broncos have to settle for 3 points of their own. And they will let it run down. End of quarter number 1. A meaningless game, but just two teams that want to end off the season as winners. 3-3 after 1 in the Sin City. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Very defensive. 6-3. Broncos leading Las Vegas here in Allegiant Stadium. First down and goal from the 1. Handoff to the backup running back who's able to power his way in. Touchdown, Broncos. And we have our first touchdown of the game with 1:34 left in the half. And finally, we have someone reach the end zone. And it's the Broncos who have not seen the end zone too much this year. They put up 31 against Kansas City in their last game, which was the most they had put up in a game all season long. So far, it's been a little bit slow, but they were able to find the end zone late in the half to try and take a 10-point advantage over the rivals. Remember, they lost to Las Vegas 16-13 when they met in Denver. But the PAT from McManus is up and through 13-3. They already had the same number of points in their last matchup. So the Broncos will let it tick to the half. 13-3, they will get it to start the second half. They have a 10-point advantage over the Vegas Raiders, who have not been able to do anything offensively. And Derek Carr, possibly his final game as a Raider, has not been the way he would like it. Broncos, they lead pretty much everything statistically. So here's the kick from McManus, 57-yarder, and he nails it. And now the Broncos lead it by 13, their first possession of the second half. It ends with 3 points. This one's shorter for McManus from 43 right down the middle. And now the Broncos, McManus, his 4th field goal of the afternoon. It is 19-3 Denver. And the nice run by Williams will take us to the 4th quarter with the Broncos up 19-3 on their rivals in the Raiders, in a game which has only seen 1 touchdown and a ton of defense. That Broncos team has looked so much stronger in the past month of the season than what they have started in the first 3 or 4 months of the season. But nonetheless, 19-3, we go to the 4th quarter with Denver up by 16 points. Wilson drops back, still looking, fires. Cortland Sutton's down there and he hauls it in. Touchdown, Denver. Cortland Sutton on the deep ball from Russell Wilson. First down and 10 from the 41. Carr trying to get him a jump. Hikes it. It's picked! Alexander Johnson on the run back. Carr cannot stop him. Pick six, Denver. What a turn of events. The long ball to Cortland Sutton and a 42-yard pick six by Alexander Johnson. This has turned into a blowout quickly. Carr was looking over the middle. He wanted Hunter Renfrow, but Alexander Johnson jumps the route and takes it back for 6. This defense has been lights out today, and they continue it, and they will go up by 30 in a blink of an eye. How about the Broncos going out in style in the past few weeks of the season? So Stidham will try and at least put the Raiders in the touchdown category here. Fires for Davante Adams, and he catches it for a touchdown. So they bench Derek Carr, and Jarrett Stidham on his first drive finds Davante Adams for the touchdown. Stidham balled out against the Lions last week, unfortunately lost in overtime. But he finds Davante Adams for a touchdown here. Adams, of course, not the season he would have liked in Las Vegas. Barely cracked 1,000 yards with that touchdown right there. So his 1,000-yard season streak continues. As here is Daniel Carlson, who knocks it up and through. 33-10. 4th and 10 from their own 28. They fake it to Rashard. Stidham gets hit. He has Adams wide open downfield, but it's incomplete. And now the Broncos will take over and can possibly put up 40 from the 7. Will they waste time, or will they crack 40 for the first time in their Sims season history? They do. Touchdown, Alec O. Russell Wilson with the second passing TD of the day, and the Broncos can crack 40 for the first time in Sim history. And it's against their dear old rivals. Derek Carr hasn't done anything. Jarrett Stidham, on the other hand, led a touchdown drive. And the Broncos are going to have a blowout victory this season. How about that in Week 18? And at best, they'll have the 3rd overall pick, which will go to Seattle. And they'll have a 2nd-round pick. As here is McManus' extra point to make it 40. And he does. 30-point lead, 40-10, Denver Broncos. 4th and 10. This will be the final play, we think, before the 2-minute warning. Stidham to his right. Has a lot of green grass up in front. Jarrett Stidham, and he'll take the hit and get out of bounds. 2-minute warning in Vegas, 40-10, Broncos. Stidham to his left, looking, Adams. He hauls it in for the touchdown, his 2nd of the game. And Davante Adams with a monster 4th quarter. Doesn't matter, though. The Raiders are still going to lose. But it looks like they'll only lose by 23 as Jarrett Stidham, with his 2nd touchdown pass, Derek Carr threw a touchdown, but to the other team. As number 8 doing exactly what he did last week, carrying the Raiders downfield. As here's the extra point from Carlson. And it is 40-17. That will most likely be the final, but the Broncos winning. There it is. The Broncos will finish their season at 4-12. The Raiders will finish their season at 5-12-1. A terrible end of the season for Josh McDaniels' team. And as for the Broncos, of course, they fired Nathaniel Hackett week 13. They will look for a new head coach. One of the top running candidates is Sean Payton. So we'll see if he comes out of retirement to come coach in Denver. As for the Raiders, will they keep McDaniels? Will they look at another coach? Too early to tell. But the biggest question is Derek Carr. Was his benching in the 4th quarter the final time we'll see him? Will his last play as a Raider be a pick 6? Or will they keep him for next season? Of course, a lot of people saying most likely will get cut or traded. Either way, good chance he will not be back on the Raiders. This team, very high expectations. Horrible way to end their season. And as for the Broncos, at least they'll go out with 4 wins on the season. But for the Raiders, there he is for possibly the final time, walking off Allegiant Stadium, the field. Will he come back as a Raider? Or will he end up somewhere else? Mysteries for Derek Carr. So Denver wins at 40-17. Not really any game that impacts the playoffs, but it was still an interesting game for the storylines, of course, with both these teams with high expectations. The Raiders 5-12-1. That's a glitch. But Derek Carr, 5-11-1. That's right. Derek Carr, 167 and an interception. Stidham did really good. He threw for 2 TDs and 149 yards. Russell Wilson, 272, 2 TDs in his best game of the season. This is ASC signing off.